So now let's talk about updating records. So basically we want to update a value within the record, and with all of this it's pretty simple. So you say update whatever the table name is, set whatever column name you care about to equal the value, the new value, and then you can say where name or where column name that you care about equals another particular value. So if we look at this example here, we can see this, right? Update people, set name, so the name column equals Bob in all uppercase letters, where name equals Bob in lowercase letters. We can then do select all from people, and we can now see Bob is in all uppercase. And so that is how we were able to modify the name Bob. So we could change it from Bob to Bobby, we could change it from Bob to Sue. I don't know, you can do whatever it is you want, but basically this is all you have to do to update. So update, table name, set column name to equal this, where column name equals this. Now the important thing to understand about this though is that this will happen wherever this is true. Right, again, so this is where things like row IDs are important. So if you know the row ID, I would want to do update people, set name equals Bob, where row ID equals 1. Because what if, again, let's say this is first name, what if you have 30 people named Bob? And so it goes through and it finds 30 times where that statement is true, and so it modifies all 30 of those records. That's where you have to be careful. Again, if we come down here, this is where you can run into that type of problem, right? Update people, set age to equal 55, where name equals Bob. So just change Bob to Bob, and so now we can see Bob is now 55. So Bob was 12, now Bob is 55. But again, if there were multiple Bobs within that table, now all of those Bobs would be of the age of 55, and that's the type of thing that you have to be careful about. So that's why you would use the row ID. You would identify this by the row ID, or you'd identify this by the primary key if you only want to modify one particular record. Now when we're updating, we can use wildcards like we can with the select statement. So update table name, set column name to equal value, where column name, like, and then we can use either the percentage signs or we can use the underscores and whatever pattern is that we're looking for. And that way we can go through and we can modify a lot of records at the exact same time. So the example that I have here is sadly probably something that you're going to run into in the real world. So you have some kind of database out there and people have been plugging information into that database for years and years and years and years, but it's not standardized. The data hasn't been sanitized, right? So we take a look at this here. We have boy all lowercase, boy capital on the B, boy uppercase. Then we have girl, so girl G, and then I is uppercase. Girl with G uppercase, girl just G, somebody plugged in, and then not even a full girl, just a gur, right? So we know we have boys and we know we have girls, but this kind of thing is again a real problem that you can run into, especially when you're trying to parse and you're trying to process data. Having this type of thing can be a real issue. So what we can do here is we can use that like, right? So this is sex, so this column is sex. Update roster. Set sex equals girl, all uppercase, where sex like, and then we can do a percentage sign, G, percentage sign. So anywhere there's a G, basically any of that under sex, it's all going to be girl. So uppercase G, lowercase g, GI, GIR, blah, 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 that will all be girl. After this, we do select all. Again, from this table, we can now see Sue, Sam, Pat, and Tammy. They are now all girl uppercase versus this mess that we had previously. Again, it is important to understand, like I can do this here because I have boys and I have girls. You shouldn't use a G when you're spelling boy, and you shouldn't have a B when you're spelling girl. Hopefully not. But you know, you never know in the modern world. So that's one of the things to consider here is like when you do that like, make sure you're not going to match to something you're not expecting to match to and do a whole bunch of different modifications there. So anyways, that's all there is to using the like keyword in there so that you're able to use wildcards with updating. So updating records is dirt simple, like frankly all of this stuff is, right? You just type in the right stuff and it'll do what you tell it to. The complicated part is making sure you want it to do what you're telling it to do. Computers have a nasty habit of doing exactly what you tell them to do, and then you start screaming because the computer did what you told it to do. So that's the warning that I will give you with updating the records. Again, be careful. This is why, again, when you have the back-end programming language interacting with your database, you always try to verify exactly everything that's going on so you don't get something squirrely, some kind of weird issue there. Because again, wherever a record's condition is true, that record will get updated. So again, if you put a name in there and then you happen to have 3 people with the exact same name for some reason, then all their ages are going to be 55. Again, that's why we use either the row ID as an identifier or the primary key as the identifier. Generally like the primary key. So I want to update record 3. There's only one 3, so therefore only one record will be updated. Worst case scenario, you'll only screw up one record, not 500 of them. So anyways, that's what there is to with updates and something to consider when you're using the update SQL statement.